In today's episode, we are giving you some actual real tools that you can use to bond with your stepkids. I'm Cameron. I spent years building my career and creating a life I loved. And when my Prince Charming finally showed up, he had 4 kids in tow. Fast forward through lots of mistakes made and lessons learned, step-family life was much more complicated than I realized. If you're looking for help with blended family life, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Stepmom Diaries, where we keep it real as we dish about all the things. This is your weekly dose of blended family inspiration and encouragement. You're not the wicked stepmother, so let me help you find your fairy tale ending. Come on, let's do this. Welcome. Today's episode is really fun because not only am I talking to a fabulous stepmom, we're talking about something that she has created for stepfamilies that is a wonderful tool to help you have meaningful conversations with your stepkids, your spouse, the whole family together. So it's a really great discussion. Today, I have Ashley Noelle. She's a mom and bonus mom in a blended family with 3 teens, count them, building something that I definitely wish that we had when I was starting out as a stepmom. She has a background in marketing and a heart for real life experiences and is passionate about helping families move from surface level communication to developing those deeper connections without actually forcing it. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. She created Blended Bond, which is a conversation tool designed to help families feel more connected and understood in blended, co-parenting, and single-parent homes. It is not a game, but a wonderful way to create real connected in those everyday moments. And I can't wait for you to hear what Ashley has to say. So let's dive in. Ashley, welcome. I'm so excited you're here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Been looking forward to it.
Yes, absolutely. So I always like to start my episodes out with stepmoms, and I like to ask origin stories. So tell us about your background and what is your origin story?
Yes. Well, fun fact is I've always been in a blended family. It's actually only what I've known. Born into one, raised in one, then married with one, now having another one. For some reason, it just keeps finding me in life, but I think there's such a beauty in it too. You learn a lot about what you can learn and grow and tolerate and patience and relationships. It's been really beautiful. But yes, it's been since birth.
That's fantastic. And you're currently now a stepmom.
Currently a stepmom, yes. 4 years with 2 twin boys.
Boys can be challenging, and remind me, they're like almost teenagers, right?
They are 13, and then I also have a 13-year-old daughter. So we have 3 13-year-olds.
Yeah, I remember when we talked before that you had teens in the house, and that's a special kind of hard.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I do. We do talk about how if the kids would have met at any different age, so they were about 9 when they met, and if it would have been any older, we don't think it would have we still go through our things, but we don't think it would have meshed as well as it did because they were still in that playful stage, still kids, still fun. We're hanging out at the park and things like that, where 2 years later, it was a world of difference of how they interact, what they're into. They're all very different. I don't know that it would have gone the way it has if they would have been older.
Yeah, it is. It's hard, and especially hard as they get into those teen years and you have all the external stuff that is, technical term, right?
Yeah.
But you have all the external stuff that's kind of influencing what happens in your house. So what's the hardest part about kind of doing all that?
The hardest part, blending with the boys and my daughter, I would say would be understanding differences. Like, obviously, the boys grew up very differently, and then my daughter and I grew up very differently. So bringing those 2 worlds together, even just being the 2 different genders, it was a very big boy house, frat-style living, wrestling every night, late to bed, frozen pizzas for dinner, just kind of winging it. And my daughter and I came with a lot of structure and organization and softness and peace and all of that and feelings and talking. So I think meshing the 2, because it was hard initially, you're coming together and the boys get defensive. My daughter shuts down just because things are intense and different. I would say that was probably our biggest hurdle. But I think that is what inspired us to start asking more questions and start digging into more. Because on the surface, yeah, everyone can say like, oh, I don't like this, or it's different, or whatever, or I don't like her, I don't like how she does this. But then I really wanted to know, what is it really? Is it
Yeah.
really that? Or is it just that there's change? This is someone different in your life now. And same for her too. I wanted to understand where their feelings would stem from. And it was just asking more questions for them.
It is hard. I work with a lot of clients and, women who come into the step family circle who are blending. I work with a lot of childless stepmoms, but I also work with a lot that have their own kids and they're, both partners are coming in with kids. And that really does have its own challenges in terms of, especially when they are so close in age,
Oh, yeah.
how you're parenting all the kids and navigating some of those, family cultural differences, right? Where you have like a fun house and a structured house. And how have you guys, the curious approach, and we're going to get to asking questions because it's very
Yeah.
relevant to what you
Yeah.
do. But talk to me a little bit about how you approached kind of setting up your household and dealing with some of those cultural differences, because that is really common with step families.
Yeah, I think it was letting everybody know that we're all on the same page. We're all here for the first time. None of us have this figured out, us as adults or the kids. I didn't expect any of them to get it all right. We're still getting it right. That's the thing, is it's not perfect and it never will be, but you work
Yeah.
with what you have. And I think I think for the boys to hear that she would be going through something too, or for her to hear that the boys were feeling something as well, was like the biggest, a little bit of a weight off their shoulders, realizing that it's not just me, or she also has feelings too, or they also have stuff as well, or they're going through different scenarios with their other biological parent too, that maybe are affecting how they're showing up in the home with us too. So I think just level setting that we're
Yeah.
all here. And guess what? I'm uncomfortable too. Like Patrick's uncomfortable too. Like we don't have it figured out. And
I
that's
think
okay.
that's so important actually, because what you're conveying to them when you say that is like you're being vulnerable and you're kind of
Mhm.
showing them like, hey, I get that you may be nervous about all this. We're kind of nervous about it too.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
think that that's really powerful when kids can see. I think it's as powerful as when adults apologize to kids.
Oh,
Like
yes. I
both of
love
those,
that too.
I think, really show kids that like it's okay. It gives them a safe place to
Yeah.
be able to feel their emotions, be able to make mistakes and know that like we're all in it together. I
We're all
really love.
human. We're all
Yeah.
human. I think when I was younger, and maybe the first time I was a step parent, at that time I was definitely more like that childless step parent. Coming in, and I really just wanted, I'm like, I want it perfect. I want everyone to like each other. I want her to like me, this and that. I want her mom to like me, all these things. And which actually backfires. I think when you want it so perfect, or like a storybook or something, it just doesn't always happen that way. And that's okay. And I think learning from that first relationship and going into now, it's 12, 13 years later, I had more humbleness of like just being
Mhm,
vulnerable, being honest with my daughter. And that's what I was doing even as a single parent with her, was I'm
mhm.
apologizing. Hey, I feel this too, or hey, this hurt my feelings, or I messed up. And I
Yeah.
think once I started doing that as a parent and then was able to bring that into step parenting, was huge, because I think that's where kids are like, guard down. She's real. So I think
Yeah.
that does make a difference of just being vulnerable, like you said.
I think so. And I think, we put, as women in general, but I think as step parents, we put so much pressure on ourselves to,
Mm.
make everything perfect and have everybody
Yeah.
like us. And especially when you're a first time stepmom, like you said. And so being able to get to that place where we kind of let off the gas a little bit and where
Mhm.
we're like maybe a little kinder to ourselves and cut ourselves a little bit more slack and maybe opening up and being vulnerable with our stepkids enables
Yeah.
us
I
to
think,
be a little more vulnerable with ourselves.
oh, I agree. And I think there still is like ebbs and flows with that, because even I can say in the last, even year, I would say the last year started out really rough. I think I was still just trying to do a lot of things, because I'll go in waves like, oh, I got this, or I can handle all this. And we went through a big move, a lot of stuff where
Mhm.
I just took on a lot more responsibility naturally. And then I had to, remind myself and learn. And I'm very big on like mental health and therapy for myself. We do couples
Yeah.
therapy, all of that, where I'm just overwhelming myself. Like, I don't need to be doing all these things. I can delegate more. The household can help out more. So now I'm back on that other, like, on the good part of the hill of like, oh yeah, I need my space too. Or I'm, especially nighttime, I would say evenings, I was feeling a lot of pressure always to make the evenings fun or make sure everyone had really great meals. I wanted them to have these
Yeah.
like great, childhood memories. And that's just my own personal thing. And then I stepped back and realized I was burning the candle at both ends
I
and
remember
I
the
needed
first,
time at
oh,
night.
sorry. Whoops.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Bree, edit that little pause out there. Thank you. Sorry, I was talking over you for a second. A little hop back in. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, and now I started to really work at carving time out for myself at night. I take a bath on my calendar on certain nights of the week because I also I have to alert myself to make that space, time for myself, time for Patrick and I, to not just always feel like I have to be on 100% with the kids. I can also take time for myself because then I'll show up better for them the next day or whatever it is.
100%. And that is so hard to do. And it's really, really important. And so, as you've kind of gotten into this role with the three kids and they're all the same age, life can be crazy at that age.
Oh, yeah.
How do you and your husband get on the same page and make sure that you're operating together, working as a team, all that good stuff?
Yeah, it's work every single day. We have a phrase we always say, like team us, which sometimes, we forget as well. I'm being honest and vulnerable here too. Like we don't always get it right and we go through our phases and then we come back together. We do a lot of little stuff. We picked two things in our bedroom that we could like tangibly hold. Mine is like a crocheted potato. His is a crocheted like poop emoji. And so at the end of
I
the
love
night, we both grab our item and I say like, here's my positive potato for the day. And then he says, here's my positive poo for the day. And we talk about something that was great or whatever it happens to be. We do a lot of, I think, check-ins like that. We used to do more consistently, like a weekly check-in, like Sunday
that.
nights. How are we setting up for the week to come? Because I think with blended families, you're navigating so many logistics. And
Yeah.
not that nuclear families are not, but you're having different houses and different parents involved and
Yeah.
who's doing what or who's covering what, where those check-ins, like the Sundays before those weeks used to be very helpful to what do we have going on? Who needs to do what? Who's doing dinner? So it doesn't just come to like stress at the end of the day
Yep.
after work on Tuesday and everyone's hungry and
It's such a game changer to just, I mean, and I have a friend who they don't have kids, but he and his wife sit down every Sunday morning and they call it their board meeting time.
Oh,
And
I
I'm like,
like
oh,
that. Yeah.
that's fun. But we always did it either on Sunday nights or we would do it with the kids the night that they came over and we would sit down and look
Oh,
at the
yeah.
calendar and figure out like what's coming up. And
Yeah.
I never had to be a big calendar person because I didn't have kids. My husband is a
Mhm.
very big calendar person and he's religious about making sure that everything's on the calendar and we have
Oh,
like
yeah.
5
That's me.
calendar stuff. It's
I'm so
pretty
anal, but I'm like,
really
it wasn't on the calendar.
I know, and I'm so thankful that he's like that. But really, like, sitting down and I mean, it sounds really monotonous, right? Like, sitting down and going through the
Mhm.
calendar, but it really does help you enter the week, just feeling a
It
little more on
does.
top of things.
And who is covering who for what? Because I think with being a step parent, there are roles. There are
Yeah,
what is my position this week with rides? What is, who's doing what? Where's their mom stepping in? Where's my ex-husband role at right now too? So I think it just helps. For me, it helps peace of mind because I have all the logistics in my brain and the
mhm,
calendars and all of that. I want to see it pretty, or at least like, oh, okay, it's making
yeah,
sense. And Patrick knows it too. But also, like you said, it was also really important. One of the boys and then my daughter are very big on calendars as well. And when they started to see when we did move in, maybe after like 6 months of living together the first time, I got a giant calendar in the kitchen and everyone's coded and all of that. Now we have like an electronic version and still a physical. But the piece that I saw with my daughter and one of the boys was huge because they have that brain where it just feels like too much until I see it laid out.
yeah,
And once they knew what their weeks looked like, I saw a change in even just their energy,
mhm,
their personality, their tone, if they're not so angry or tense because they actually just knew what their week looked like. And I take a step back and I'm like, wow, like you guys are navigating
Yeah.
so many logistics at such a young age that not even a lot of adults do. I have to find a way to help with that and give grace for when they're not
I
fully
love
themselves.
that because that's such a huge point with blended family life. And it's something that I talk to my clients about it, but it's not something that we just sort of as a community talk about a whole lot, which is how it feels for the kids to be dealing with all this because they do. I think about it from our perspective, like we had 50-50 the kids. So every week or two, they're packing up all their stuff and going to stay in their house. And I didn't have to, my parents were divorced, but I didn't have to do that because I lived
Yeah.
mostly with my mom. And I just think about like how hard that is, where you've got
Mhm.
half your stuff at one house, half at the other. And especially like for teenagers, right?
My gosh.
Especially for girls, they really care about the clothes and how stuff is getting over and then stuff gets forgotten. And it is a lot for them. And I think that if we can kind of take a minute and appreciate that, then when sometimes we do have the outbursts or the attitudes or whatever, it's okay. You can kind of maybe extend some grace here,
Yeah, you can understand where it comes from because I think of even us, you and I, if we had to pack up every other week, but we really liked this pair of pants or the way we had this there,
Yeah.
or I like my pillow over there. There's all these things that we build our lives for comfort, just as natural humans. What are the things we like? And here these children have to do it because they're forced to. It
Yeah.
wasn't their choice. This wasn't what they wanted to do. So I think that adds a little pressure, I'm sure, to the adults in the
Yeah.
house because you want your kids to, feel good. But at the same time, we know it's not going to be perfect. So how can we work together?
Yeah.
What can we do to make this a little bit better? What's something you really loved at your mom's or at your dad's that we could have here that would maybe just be easier? Or do you just
Yeah.
need two of those hairbrushes that you love?
Yeah. Totally. Totally.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I don't know if your kids are doing sports, but I remember the first couple of years that I was a stepmom, we had 4 kids doing 4 different sports, 4 different places, like all the time.
Yes.
Just that little detail alone, sitting down and trying to plan for the week was like, it would make my
Oh,
head ache every week. And I remember when we
sports
had the
spin
last
me.
kid that was doing stuff and was like, I think I want to stop doing this, Of course, I had to like keep a straight face. I'm like, oh, are you sure? And inside, I'm like, yes, finally.
I feel that. I feel that so much. They all do sports. They all
Yeah.
do really dedicated sports at the
Yeah.
worst times. It's always over dinner time or it's the distance, the games or wherever it is. It's never convenient.
No.
And it was funny because my daughter used to be very into track. Recently, she was like, I don't like to run anymore. And so much of me inside was like, okay, but also I still have been really big. She just started middle school. I was like, I always wanted you to do one sport in middle school just to promote, being
Yep.
active and just
Yep.
trying it out. So I like had to force what she's doing it now and she eye rolls, but now she's fine because her friends are in it. But I had to swallow that I really didn't want her to join a sport because I
I
really
know.
needed her to do a sport because the boys had so many sports, but
I know.
we'll figure it out.
They overschedule these kids. I mean, that's a
Oh,
whole separate podcast, but
they do. And it blows my mind. I'm like, I don't remember. I'm like, I did sports as a kid, but I don't remember it being
I was
so
definitely not that
overwhelming.
scheduled. Like, I think I did
Yeah.
one sport at a time, and
I did one sport at a time.
it
Yeah.
was like afternoon practices. I mean, it just didn't, I don't remember being that booked up when
Like
I was that age,
this. Yeah.
but
It's intense. It's like they're training kids for the Olympics and stuff. I'm like,
it is. They
in
put so
seventh
much
grade.
pressure. I remember my stepdaughter in 7th grade coming home. She had like lacrosse practice and soccer practice and got home at like 8 o'clock, and
Yeah.
was eating a late dinner. And she burst into tears because she hadn't done her French homework for the next day. And she's always been a straight A student, and she was like, she's in 7th grade. She was 12 or whatever, however old you are in 7th grade. I don't
Yeah.
remember. And I remember her just crying about she hadn't done her homework yet. And I said, how many times have you not done your homework for this class? And
Mhm.
she's like, well, I always do it. And I was like, okay, so I'm telling you, you officially have permission from us to not do your homework tonight. You
Yeah.
should not be
Yeah.
this worked up about homework. If you're doing so much that you're feeling like this, maybe
Mhm.
we should think about you doing less. Like, I don't want you to be this stressed out. You're 12, It's
100%. I
crazy.
agree. We just had that one happened with the boy recently, just this past weekend, I think. He had so many things just back to back. And he's like, oh, it's taking up my whole weekend. Like, I want to even just see friends. Where for
Yeah,
me, I'm like, it's so important to still have your social life as a kid. You need to have friendships and not just feel like
yeah,
sport, sport, sport. So I had a talk with him just about like, well, where can we, jump in and help out or what can we carve out? And we also have to kind of force them to have rest time because
yeah,
these schedules are so crazy. They get a little upset because we'll be like, all right, Sunday is going to be like a no friend. We're just going to be home. We're going to relax. And they have a hard time because they're so used to go, 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 go. But
yeah.
I always tell them, even when they're mad, I'm like, this is us helping you out. And this isn't a
Yes.
punishment. This isn't a discipline. It's just, I want your body to rest too.
Yeah, 100%.
But it's hard.
Okay. Well, before we wrap up, because I feel like we could talk forever
We
because
could.
going through the whole teenage thing is like, there's just so much there. But I want to talk about blended bond
Yeah.
because what you're doing here is so interesting and I think so helpful for step families. So tell us about the blended bond card sets and what you've got going on because it's really cool.
Yeah, but it's a set of 90 conversation prompts. It is specifically tied to blended families, this general initial pack is, mostly because, like I said, when we first moved in, I wanted to be way more intentional about the kids' feelings, how this process went. They were at different ages than I experienced before. And I really wanted to make sure they were doing okay through all the changes as well. Because again, it wasn't their choice. It was myself and Patrick making the decision to be together and then bringing these kids together. So it started off as just questions in my notes app that I would think about. And then we'd have family meetings. And this was when we had just moved into their home. So we had lots of questions because I had lots of questions. And we would meet, we would talk, kind of always preface it's safe space. No one's in trouble. Just tell us your feelings. And we would just do like one or two questions. And I remember there was one moment and I have the card on my Instagram, but there was one question that changed a lot for us. And it was more so along the lines of, what is one thing we could do to make this home or family more comfortable for you?
I
And
love that.
because I felt they were so just tense, and you can tell when a kid's just like vibrating.
Yeah.
And so when we asked, it was the boys were missing that their dad used to make chicken tacos, which blew my mind because I would love for anyone to like help out with cooking. And then my daughter just missed something that was in her old bedroom that she just really wanted up in this home because it would make her feel like
Oh,
home. And both Patrick and I like walked away from that conversation like, we can fix this weekend.
yeah. Well, and it's interesting, but I think kids think about a lot of stuff that they don't necessarily articulate. And so having
Yeah.
these conversation cards to
Mhm.
sort of tease out some of that stuff that can make such a big difference with, like you said, not much effort. I mean, what a,
Yeah. Yeah, and I think so some of the questions, definitely there's some that can be answered a little easier and you're like, "Oh, I can fix that," or "That's helpful to know." Where some can actually go into depth too to understand where the kids are feeling just in their place in the family or what would make them feel maybe more included or if they feel
uh-huh.
excluded, if they're stressed of something outside of the family and that's why they're reacting the way they are in the family. So
Yeah.
the cards, there are 90 cards in the original deck. I have a mini version that is digital. I always say if families just don't know where to start, it's like 10 questions, just something that you can try. And then if you feel more comfortable, you can do more. But they are broken out into different categories. So there's growth, trust, connection, action, takeaway, and fun cards. So
Amazing.
if you have a family that you're like, oh, we have to work on, connection, pulling out one of those cards, or you can just pull out a random one and go for it. And then I added the fun cards because we did do a lot of fun activities with the kids to help with bonding. So I started to note down some of the fun stuff that just activities that help you
Uh-huh.
see different skill sets or how you work together as a team or how you just, if the, for us, we have two brothers that are always together. So they're used to relying on each other. Well, how about if one of them, works with my daughter on something to see how
Mm,
that teamwork works or builds up, or even activities that I can do with the boys that helps me connect to boyhood more.
yeah.
We have several of those in the decks as well.
I love this so much. And for everybody listening, stay tuned because we're going to be doing more with Ashley around this. But in the meantime, I'm going to put all the information about where you can get her cards and her website and all of that stuff in the show notes in the description so that you can go and support her. these cards are great.
Thank
And I
you.
don't know. I mean, it's so important for every member of the family to have that bonding time together. And especially in situations where, you're coming in, you may feel like you don't have a lot in common with the stepkids. That they may be hard to talk to. Like, I love this as a way to sort of crack that open a little bit.
Yeah, and it's a little less pressure. So it's not, I think what helped, granted, mine started from the notes app. So the kids, I would get the eye rolls at first, like Ashley wants to talk about something, or mom wants to talk about something. But I think now for families getting the deck like this or using the cards, the digital versions too, it's more removed. It's not mom or dad making us do this. It's like mom and dad found something that can help us. So it takes that
Uh-huh.
pressure off of we have to talk instead of it makes it a little more fun. Like, let's flip a card and let's talk about it. Like, we keep ours at our dinner table. That's our favorite place to do it because I think the general questions of how's school? Good.
I was just going to say, it probably gets a lot more interesting than like, how was your day?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah,
and
which
especially
I
teens are like, ugh.
yes, they hate it. And I think something I noticed with our three kids is it started off, a little hard to pull conversation out. But now, fast forward to for us 3 years later and 4 years later, the kids open up in general when we ask about things. I think they got so used to not giving us like yes, no answers or good,
Uh-huh.
fine answers, where we've taught them to be more open ended with their answers and open ended with asking about feelings and stuff too. So I've loved to see how it's not even just within our family and for the blended family, but now as adults, they have already learned how to, I should elaborate more or I should talk about my
Yeah,
feelings. So I think I'm seeing that skill and that's really like making my heart smile too. Cause I'm like, oh, it's more than even just our family.
I love it. Well, guys, go and find Ashley. Ashley, give them I think all your handles are Blended Bond, right?
Yes. Website is blendedbond.com. And
Yes.
then Instagram is the blended bond. And that's where you can get a lot of our connection and community. I'm on TikTok too. And that's play blended bond because a lot of handles were taken and that you can find us there as well.
Perfect. All right. Well, go find Ashley, buy her cards. They're amazing. And we've got some exciting things to come with Ashley. So,
Yeah.
Ashley, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
If this episode spoke to you or touched your heart, would you do me a favor? Take 10 seconds to go and follow the show, leave us a 5-star review, and share this episode with another stepmom who might need to hear it. Your support is going to help grow our blended family community, and you never know whose life you might change.